Approximately 6:15, we now call to order the Mayor Council meeting for the City of Lafayette for Monday, August the 12th. So at this time, we can make any official decisions that we'd like to make. We have a quorum present tonight, and we would begin with the reading of the minutes, or would we have a motion to approve the reading of the minutes, which would be from the July 22nd meeting?
I make a motion that we approve the reading of the minutes from the July 22nd, 2019. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes from July 22nd. All in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed? Do we have Mr. Linda Parker here? Oh, okay, excuse me. We had a large crowd out there.
Okay.
What I'm going to do is let you come up to the podium, but what we would like to do from the council right here is, by virtue of the authority vested in me as the mayor of the City of Lafayette, and on behalf of the City Council, we would like to proclaim September 2019 as Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month. And to do that, before you start, do we have a motion to that effect?
Make a motion.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month for September. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Will we begin seeing some teal bows throughout the town and everything like that? So now that we've made it official, we've declared it, but we would like for you to let everyone know a little bit more in detail what it's all about.
Well, I'll be quick because this is not our first trip here, and I appreciate so much your time and your support. Just a few things I just want to remind people that don't know about Tell Magnolia. It's a support group supported by EAMC, Faith Community Nurses, and Ovarian United Methodist Church. And so, of course, those of you that's been here many times before with me and me with y'all, Nan Gaelic, the late Nan Gaelic, this was her dream. She was a 13-year survivor of ovarian cancer. And so her dream was to educate and support women that had GYN cancers. And so the big thing, and I am an oncology nurse, I see women every day, young women, older women, middle-aged women. These cancers, many times when we discover them, are advanced stages. It doesn't have to be that way. And the answer to that is education and knowledge. You can fight anything if you know about it. And so that's what this is all about, and I appreciate so much. I just have to tell you that Lafayette really takes the cake when it comes to these bows. In other cities nearby, we're allowed to put the teal bows up for a week. And y'all allow us to put it up for the whole month, and so that's a big deal. And I'm proud to say that I live here, so I'm very proud of that, and I thank you all for that. And so that's really all I wanted to say is the teal bows will be up September the 1st, and we'll take them down the end of the month, and I appreciate it very much in your time.
Well, thank you very much for coming. You know, there's a lot of different types of cancer, but there's hardly any family anywhere that hasn't been touched in some way, that has immediate family or extended family with this. And anytime we can do something to make people aware of it and get checked early.
Yes, absolutely. You've got to know the symptoms. So, thank you.
At this time, we have Ms. Harriet Jones. We'll let you come up to the podium. You want to have a discussion concerning the cemetery, so we just open the floor up to you.
Okay. I'm first going to give y'all a copy of the ordinance that I'll be referring to. Mayor Moody, City Council members, and fellow citizens, we appreciate you allowing us again to come as a group concerned with issues in the Lafayette City Cemetery. Some items have come to our attention in recent months that we feel are necessary to bring before the council. In reviewing the revised cemetery ordinance of October 8, 1990, which I've given you a copy of, we found items that need to be addressed. This was the revision of the 1929 ordinance number 80. Now keep in mind that ordinances are only of value if they are enforced. Section 7.6, which is at the bottom of the first page, or begins at the bottom of the first page, addresses grave preparation. Item A says all graves in a city cemetery shall be excavated to a depth of not less than 4 feet. Item D, which is on the second page, says no vaults of any kind shall be built or set in graves so that the highest point shall be less than 18 inches below the surface of the ground. In recent months, I was in the cemetery and I noticed the grave of Dr. John Campbell, and it was missing the marker that I had read while doing work there a couple of years ago. Dr. Campbell had his marker done at the same time he had his wife's done at her death. I did not attend his funeral, but I knew it had been more than enough time for the death date to be added to his marker and the stone returned. I made inquiries to find out what had happened to his stone. I was told that the stone could not be put in place because the corner of the vault was sticking out of the ground due to rock being underground beneath the burial plot. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. I went the next day to see if it was obvious. It's not obvious to the passerby going down the road who does not know that the stone is missing. But it's obvious when you get out of your car and go to the grave. It's my understanding that a number of graves have been dug and the digger has hit rock. I know from personal experience. In 2004, when my sister-in-law passed away, the machinery struck rock. And of course, it was just a few hours before the funeral. In the past year, when a friend of mine died, her family had the same experience. In my family's case, we had another space by my sister-in-law's space so that we were able to move over some to dig. We may have lost enough space not to be able to use that particular burial spot. In my friend's case, her son is in the construction business and was able to call a crew to bring the necessary machinery to dig the grave. I have no idea how many others have had this same experience, but I can tell you this. It is a stressful situation to handle when you're already dealing with the ordeal of burying a loved one. Imagine how you would feel if it were your spouse, your mother, your father, your child, your sibling. Now I'm wondering, is my sister-in-law 18 inches below the ground? Is she buried on a huge slant, as Dr. Campbell is? I know where you wonder where I'm going with all this information. If we're going to sell lots in the cemetery, and rock is so prevalent underground, the city should have the necessary equipment to get through the rock or break it up. Citizens buy lots in good faith that their burials will take place in that spot. Everyone does not have an extra grave like we have, and everyone does not have a construction crew that can take care of it. If the construction crew could take care of it, then we know the equipment can be purchased. Dr. Campbell does not have family here in town to take care of his problem. But we, as concerned citizens, should take care of it. How can a city ignore this problem with a clear conscience? In thinking about our underground rock, we have to look at the cemetery maps, and we notice that there are areas marked on the cemetery maps that have rock present. If we do not have the equipment to get through rock, we are fast approaching the time that the additional acreage designated for the cemetery will need to be added to the existing cemetery. That will involve moving fences and extending roadways within the cemetery. There's acreage on the east side of Brookwood, as well as acreage between the designated park and the current cemetery that is to be added. That brings to mind the discussion in the past with the park planners. I could not help but notice on the park map from your recent work session that the designer had included some walking pathways that appear to connect the park to the streets of the cemetery. We are aware that you, as a group, agreed not to have a street going to the park through the cemetery. However, every election brings change. With that change, we have nothing to protect the promise you made to the group. When you read ordinance number 320, it sounds like such a great plan of action. But as I said earlier, a plan of action is only as good as its enforcement. Coping walls have been put in place since 1990, even though Section 17 was in place in this document. In summary, we want to make the following 3 proposals. 1, a pamphlet is being put together to give any person who purchases a cemetery lot and to give any person who's burying a family member in the cemetery. We will request that the city clerk's office give it to purchasers of lots, and funeral directors give a copy of it to families that are burying a loved one. This pamphlet will provide information concerning the general upkeep of the cemetery, and it should be applicable to Handy Cemetery as well as City Cemetery. Most cities have this type of material to give to purchasers of lots. And of course, we would bring it to you for your approval before it's given out. Our second proposal is that the city purchase the necessary equipment to break the rock when digging graves. If a construction crew has the equipment, the city should be able to have it also. I know we have a jackhammer that goes through concrete streets. Third proposal, we also want to propose the following addendum to ordinance number 320. Section 710, we'd like to add a number 2, which says, as additional property is added to the Lafayette City Cemetery or the Essie Handy Cemetery, a fence will be added to the perimeter and maintained to prevent paths from foot traffic. There will be no entrance gates for pedestrians or cars added other than those already in existence. Now, I have a copy of those proposals to give each of you also.
Okay, and we're saying that that is 17,
17.
adding a number 2.
Adding a number 2. There was already a number 1 there. I'll let that. Do you have any questions for us or for our proposal?
So what I'm looking at right here, 3 proposals.
Right,
One is a pamphlet,
right.
a
We're working on-
description of what would be with the purchase, upkeep, involving, and everything like that.
Right, in the
The beginning and down the road.
Right, the ordinance, it will include the information in the ordinance about proper burial and coping walls and all that, and the general upkeep of what we expect about things being put there that aren't supposed to be put
So
there.
when you put the pamphlet together,
Uh-huh,
at that point in time, would you present it back to us for review?
right, we'll give it to you too.
That's fine with y'all.
I would like for everything that you mentioned, for the cemetery committee
Yes.
to look at all this and talk about it and bring it back to the mayor, whole entire mayor and council, well, everybody talk about it.
Yes.
We keep talking about the pamphlet.
But what we're saying, what I was saying is,
Everybody, got on.
Okay.
I discussed it with the cemetery committee.
Okay.
I'm the chairman.
yeah, you take a look at it and everything like that, but just put in their hands the 3 proposals in detail as to the extent of what would be your proposal.
Right,
The number 1 was about a pamphlet, and number 2 was purchase of equipment,
equipment.
and that could be reviewed by y'all, purchase, lease, whatever
And
would
hopefully,
need to be done.
and hopefully that grade will be taken care of when it falls above the ground with that.
And number 3 was
The gates.
it's really extended, okay?
Okay?
Two, can I come in?
Just, everybody's open.
It goes back to years ago, we talked about increasing the fees for the cemetery plots and all that. Talk about the 1 cent sale tax. We can't keep operating, this thing was done in 1990. We can't keep operating the city of Lafayette like we did in 1990. You know, I understand we need equipment and all that, but, you know, we gotta do what we gotta do to be able to get that equipment and stuff. You know, we can't do it, we can do it, we sit down and talk about it, but we're gonna need more revenue. And find ways to buy that stuff that we need, and I agree to getting in tune with the times, you know, times have changed. And we got to get the stuff we need to do the work, but it's gonna cost money to do that.
And the only question that I would have is where you have to add no more gates. You know, you're including Handy Cemetery, and they only have the one entrance, where the city cemetery over there has several. And, you know, hopefully in the future, I'm just saying that another entrance, if nothing else for emergency, if an emergency were to happen or having a funeral, you know, people get out of it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if that's the only question, but sure, yeah, the cemetery committee definitely can look at that. But that would be the only reservation I would have about with the entrance gates and all that. And sure, you understand why.
Well, I understand that where there's not only one entrance.
Right.
But, you know, I think the council at that time could assess that, because I don't think there's not additional acreage right there, is it?
Yeah, we just purchased that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay,
Done
so
in
that
April.
would be
Yeah, so that was,
something you had to consider.
right.
So where we are tonight, you've made your proposal. There's a little more detail needed in regards to number one. Turn that over to, you can bring it to Lewis, can present it to the cemetery committee, and then from there, they would come back and make recommendations to the council. When the recommendations were made to the council, we would post it on the agenda at that one time and have it for discussion then.
Okay, and please talk to them also about what's going to be done about Dr. Campbell's law.
Well, actually, I'm looking at these three as a starting point.
Okay.
Dr. Campbell, when was he buried?
When?
Yes, ma'am.
It's probably been 6 months. Has it been longer than that?
Mr. Gordon.
The one was, that's been 5 years, hasn't it?
Yeah, his wife's been there.
Why, excuse me, why?
He's only, that was in the last.
Yeah, that's who I was thinking about recently. There was a time when she went to the church, right?
Right,
It's been a while with her,
right.
okay?
I know I'm a newbie, but Superintendent Green, is it the city's responsibility when we hit rock, or is it the funeral home's responsibility to dig the graves and all that? I'm sorry, I just, what's that?
Well, that is correct. If you read the orders, it's the responsibility of the funeral home to excavate the depths of these graves. And in discussion of Dr. Campbell's grave, when it happened, it was kind of, like you said, they didn't, well, at the last minute, we found out they hit a rock and the grave wouldn't be excavated at the right depth. They called the city for some assistance. We went out to try to assist them with it. And at that time, the city or the vault company didn't have the proper equipment to excavate it any deeper. I think at the time that I left, it was pretty close. But what happened on that grave is, like you were saying, they have slabs out there. So the grave was excavated to where the top of the vault was at ground level.
It's sticking out.
Now, at that point, I didn't really find out that even it was a slab enough, maybe a couple of weeks later. So we're looking at an additional 6 to 8 inches on this slab that's above the ground. But as far as the city purchasing anything to dig the grave, that's usually on the funeral home or what other company. And speaking of like certain areas of that, sometimes when people come out and want to buy a grave, I do explain it to them like this area here might be possible to have rock. A lot of them want to go ahead with it anyway because based on section 15, 14, 13, they want to be what their family, they'll take that chance to purchase that grave. So we kind of like you know, let them, we just showcase the area, then most of the time people like wanna buy it anyway. In Dr. Campbell's grave, situation, his wife's grave right next to it was excavated probably 4.5 feet or more. 6 to 8 inches over, there's a granite rock. And you won't really know that until you dig. Probably what should have happened, the funeral home might should have took them back to the, you know, funeral home until the grave was properly excavated, or somebody was satisfied with it. But that's what happened in that situation, and the proper people have been talked to take that problem, take care of that problem. So it didn't fall on the city, it's on myself.
That when I purchased, or my husband and I purchased 8th grade lot, and we purchased it with good faith that we'd be able to, if we needed it, we could bury 8 people in that spot. And it is not marked where our graves are, it is not marked as having rock. But we certainly ran into it about 3 hours before the funeral. And I don't think the city's going to give me my money back probably, but we purchased it in good faith. And if my family can't be, the rest of my family can't be buried there, I think I would probably take some action about it, because I bought it in good faith that I would be able to bury 8 people in that spot, in that lot. So I don't think the funeral home is responsible for selling me those lots, and the funeral home was only responsible for putting us in the ground, but the city's the one that sold them to us as burial spots, is what I'm saying.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, the 3 proposals will be submitted to the cemetery committee. At that time, we'll review them, and then we'll go from there. We have, does anyone have any questions on any department head at this time? Mr. Clerk, can I turn number 10 over to you a little bit right there? Do you have any appointment with the Chambers County Board of Equalization?
Yes, I'm currently Mr. Darius Aurora serves our appointee. It's time to make a nomination again. This does not guarantee that he will actually serve. It's just appointing him as our nominee to be able to serve from Chambers County Equalization Board.
And I'll make a nomination that we nominate him to continue.
We have a motion for Darrell Seward to continue in the same capacity.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for Darrell to continue in the same capacity. That is with the Chambers County Board of Equalization. All in favor say aye. All opposed? That passes. East Alabama Regional Planning Commission Senior Citizen Contract.
This is just an annual contract for services provided for our nutrition center.
For those of you, we use Lafayette direction sometimes at the top of the hill over here, adjacent to the fire department, the senior citizen center. They serve meals there. For the contract to continue, we would need a motion to that effect.
I make a motion that we continue with the contract for the senior citizen. Second.
Motion and a second to continue with the contract with senior citizens. All in favor say aye. All opposed? Family Dollar, now they're looking at a beer and table wine license. So we would need to let the chief, have you looked into that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, could you come up and based on your findings, make a recommendation?
Mr. Mayor and Council, application has been submitted on behalf of Family Dollar for the off-premises for wine and beer. And I did speak with the manager out at Family Dollar, and we did discuss the issues. The proper paperwork has been submitted along with the ABC paperwork as well. So in our findings, we ask that you grant them the license.
Okay, you've heard the chief's recommendation. Do we have a motion to grant Family Dollar a beer and wine license?
After hearing the chief recommendation, I recommend that we grant the retail beer off premises only to the Family Dollar store here.
a motion?
Second.
We have a second. And I'll make a comment that would be similar to Dollar General.
Sir?
Would be similar to Dollar General or other businesses.
Yes, yes.
We're calling it off premises.
Yes.
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 So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Thank you. Thank you. You can vote on this one and just make it right here. Do we have any question from any one of the council members?
Yes, I would just like to, hope and pray that all the kids have a great start in the school year. We'd like to thank all our local businesses, churches, citizens for giving out all the school supplies throughout the city a little bit. So,
Thank you.
Do an update on the city hall, the new city hall progress.
George, could you help me just a little bit? The last 3 Fridays, we worked on the city hall right there. Are we at a point now that we can turn it over to the architect?
Yes, sir. I think we at a point now that we can turn over that to the architect to remove ceilings, carpet, wallpaper, and also any smaller items that have been disposed. So I think we can turn it over to
Okay, let's give him a call. You and I will tomorrow come out and do a walkthrough and then open it up for bids as soon as possible. Then I want to mention one other thing, since you brought that up at this time. Councilmember Addison brought it to our attention about having a surplus sale. Lewis, on the surplus date, you had looked at September, I believe, 17th, and to advertise for that. And we've gotten a list of everything from the different department heads. George, if we want to get someone to assist us right there, let's go up and get a final list of the chairs or any cubicles, anything that we're not going to use to add to that sale, and that would be the last item added to the sale.
Can I say one more thing? Can somebody check and see the quality of life medical services at the building we got out here? I was in another county and spoke with some employees, and I heard they're looking at relocating to the Gwinnett area. I just want to know, have they contacted City Hall, if that's true or not? Can somebody check with them to see if that's going to be happening in the near future?
I'll check with them now. I think it'd be part of that.
That's all right.
When they first made improvements to the building, they were looking here and other locations, and they made the decision to go ahead with the improvements that they made at that time, and have not been contacted since. Yeah, anything?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Just as a quick follow-up right here, Councilmember Thomas, we had a day of prayer last Friday night, had a very good turnout where citizens came together. It was to pray for the children and the return to school and their safety and everything, but it was also to pray for the city as far as our first responders, to pray for the employees who work for this city, to pray for the entire community, to pray for the state, and pray for this nation. I use the term, I grew up a country boy, and out in the country, we all went to church, but every once in a while, every summer you had that revival. You just needed to put the jumper cables on and kind of restart the engines and everything like that. And it was so positive, the day of prayer, because we all should be praying for this community every day. However, sometimes it takes something drastic to happen, such as 911 did years ago, to bring everybody together. But there are a lot of citizens, as both the council members from my right have said, and churches who have made a lot of donations. And there's been a lot of kids get a backpack and some school supplies and things like that. And I know that some of the churches are continuing to provide even food to those kids that are in need in our community. For all of those, we just say thank you. Now, I cannot talk any longer. We have to pay our bills.
We have claims in the amount of $328,708.06.
Make a motion we pay our bills.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to pay our bills. All in favor say aye. All opposed, bills will be paid. Mr. Attorney,
Yes, sir.
can we kind of turn this, well, we got one more thing right here. We need to let Lewis take over as far as resolution 2019-08-1201 for the budget amendment.
Yes, ma'am. In your council packet, I have a copy of a budget amendment. If you remember at the last council meeting, we discussed the purchase in the wastewater department for vehicles, and that they were down to 2 vehicles. We took care of one by moving the vehicle from one department to another. But with regards to the purchase of the truck, you have a copy of that list of preferred vehicles. The budget, the original budget had receipts of $7,966,250. Expenses of $7,815,690.14 for a surplus of $150,559.86. Asking the budget to be amended to include a $15,000 purchase for a vehicle up to $15,000, which would result in a new surplus of $135,559.86. And Superintendent Gleason, I don't know if she wants to say.
She addressed the council at the last meeting, and we kind of, you had found 3 or 4 surplus vehicles at that time. We didn't know the exact status of how long they might hold it, so that's why I wanted to come back at this meeting.
As of yesterday, they were still posted on their website, so I'm assuming they still have them, but if they don't, then I'll just have to,
And those 3 fall within the price range?
yes.
Okay.
Have you went down to Montgomery, this is Montgomery? Have you went down to look at them, drive them, check
No.
them out?
Yeah.
I make a motion we approve, amended, what, am I ahead of myself?
Well, a couple of things. One, since we're amending the budget, since we're introducing it tonight, it has to be unanimous consent, so there needs to be a motion for unanimous, immediate consideration. Then if that's approved, then you have to make a motion to approve.
Do we have a motion for immediate consideration tonight?
I make a motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
We would need to do a roll call on that, so let's do a roll call.
Councilmember Thomas? Yes. Councilmember Ellis?
Yes.
Councilmember Blassgang?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes. Okay, with that means that we can move forward and make a motion to adopt resolution, and that's going to be resolution 2019-08-12-01 to amend the budget for the purchase of the vehicle. Do we have that motion?
I'll make a motion that we accept resolution 2019-08-12-01 and amend the budget.
Now that motion to approve the resolution. Do we have a second?
Second.
Mr. Clerk, can we just vote on that? Let's do a roll call to make it official.
Councilmember Thomas? Yes. Councilmember Ellis?
Yes.
Councilmember Blassgang?
Yes.
Mayor Moore?
Yes. Thank you. At this point in time, we have some properties that were brought up in the public hearing that you could not take action. Public hearing is just for information. So now that we've received that information, we can actually take action on those. We'll come up and let's do the first one because it was strictly the property of Clarence and Nellie Trimble, which was under the overgrown property.
Mayor.
Mayor, you said you wanted to visit the weed and grass first resolution, proposed resolution 2019-08-12-2, Clarence T. and Nellie Trimble, that's the overgrown weeds and grass. I'll come back to those other ones, Louis. Thank you. Let's just go, we just do it this way. That one is, I believe everybody saw a picture. Are there any other, does the council have any questions as far as, for Officer Arwood, or me, and Mr.? If not, then there just needs to be a motion to adopt that resolution. Let the process play out.
I make a motion to adopt resolution 2019-08-12-02.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Uh,
All opposed? Thank you.
Mayor,
Drop that one.
sir,
Go ahead.
Mayor, at this point, instead of getting into the new ones, I'd like to get on these resolutions that were tabled for 30 days back a meeting or two ago, back in May. That one of them in January. Yeah, and I wanted to go ahead and address those. One of those has already come back up and was put off for 30 days the last time it came up. And that's property at 431, that's assessed to Timothy and Antoinette Vines, 3rd Avenue Northeast, parcel number ending in 48. Officer Arwood, has there been any change in the status of that property since we last heard?
As far as the structure goes on the residence, or the house, there hasn't been no progress since the last progress, which was, they did patch the roof so it's not taking in any water, and they did barricade the doors, and they have them latched now so you can't just enter the property in the house. Someone is keeping the yard up. I think it's going to be Mr. Davenport who purchased the house. As far as a building permit, to my knowledge, they have not purchased one for that resident.
I'm trying to have something to say on that property. I spoke to Mr. Davenport just the other day. He had some inspectors to come over and inspect the asbestos and everything, so he was waiting on the test results to get back before he did anything else. He said the reason it was taking so long, the guy had promised him to come early, but he came late, so he just waiting on the test results before he take further action.
Let me ask Officer Arwood one more question. Is that the house seems to be made stable from the outside at least?
Yeah, I think the house will be fine, just sitting there for someone to come inspect it. I don't think it's going to be any danger right now because no kids can actually enter the house now either.
My recommendation on this one would probably be to table it for 60 or 90 days since he's been steady making progress, even though it started in January. He's been steady making progress doing some of the things that need to be done. That would be my recommendation. Y'all can do what you want, but at this point, I think it would be my recommendation to do a motion to table it for however long, and then vote on that and put this one off again.
I think the most anytime I put him make a motion. Okay, make a motion to table that.
Do you want to do 60 days?
6 days. He's making progress. And as I stated, he's going to get, make sure which route he needs to take. If there's some investors there, how you need to handle that, and if it's not, you proceed with what you're doing.
second.
Now, a motion and a second to table 2019-05-13-08 for 60 days. All in favor, say aye. All opposed? Can we move on to the next one, please?
2019-01-2802, this was Annette Busby. Sorry, I misstated the last one. Last one came up in May. This is the one that came up in January. This is 56 6th Avenue Northwest, parcel number 2, assessed as Annette Busby. Officer Arwood, have you been by to check on the status of that property?
Yes.
Has there been any changes since the last meeting?
No visible changes that I can see. This was a house that was possibly going to be sold. A building permit was purchased. Superintendent, I don't know, a couple months ago, back maybe a month or so ago, someone did seal up the roof in the front of the house, but not the back. But as far as their intentions from this point on, I haven't spoken to anyone or saw any other progress on the property.
Superintendent Green, how long is that building permit good for without action?
Make-
How long is the building permit good for without action?
I guess it's just good until we make a decision. We don't normally get but one.
So it's issued, it's good until you withdraw. That's good.
I like to,
So they made a little progress, but very little progress.
Very
And is the house secure?
It is secure. Unless you climb in from the roof.
Parachute in.
A hole in the roof?
In the back. This one's sort of a mixed bag, guys. I don't have any recommendations for you.
I mean, a lot of these properties, man, people have had years to do something with them, and they haven't. You know, they came before us and wanted more time, we gave them more time, and, you know, we make it up, did clean up their properties, and they had enough time, in my opinion. So I'm not with extending no more time on that one.
I agree.
This one's been finished in January. So this is-
January or what, January, not on the calendar.
This time isn't been finished in January 2009.
They've had plenty of time in my
How
opinion.
you want it worded?
It sounds like the council wants to adopt a resolution, so at this point I just call for a motion to adopt this resolution.
I make a motion to adopt that resolution on that property.
And then
2019-01-28-02, glasses.
I second.
have a motion and a second to adopt this resolution. All in favor, say aye. Thank you. All right, to the nuisances, that was,
No, that's just the table where we have all the nuisances. All right, so the first one is Alfred. I believe there are two that the council may want to consider extending time on at this point. And I would like to go ahead and quitting them. I'd like to discuss that with them, because there were a couple that sounded like they had some progress being made during this time. So I didn't want to see about the will of the council on those. Otherwise, we could do them all in a group, I think. There are two, the Daniel McLean and Pittman. The Daniel McLean is 218 6th Avenue Southeast, and the Pittman property was 6th Avenue Southeast. If I remember right, the Daniel McLean, they had worked on the yard and taken some asbestos siding off of it. Is that the one?
On the pit.
No, that's the Pittman. And I would assume George would appreciate to give them a little more time to get that asbestos siding off that house. And the reason for that is because the asbestos siding has to be treated special. You have to know what you're doing to deal with it. It's not necessarily dangerous in its current form. It has to be done. And what about the McLean house? Haven't they done some on it as well?
Yes, they've done some yard work, and they have spoken with Superintendent Green about purchasing a building permit, but just haven't gotten it yet.
And had they secured that house at 218 6th Avenue Southeast?
Yes.
So the McLean house has been secured, and the Pittman house has started the process of demolition. We just didn't report it back to us. So at this point, I would recommend that we deal with the first, we deal with the properties, the Janie Alford property, the Maurice Alford property, Jackson Hill, the Dexter Lewis Holloway, the Timothy and Esther White, and Charmel Wright, and I will get those resolution numbers. They're all 2019 08 12 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, and 10. We have a motion to adopt those resolutions. We can handle those in one report.
Make a motion to adopt resolution ending in 04, 05, 06, 9, and 10.
Three.
Okay, and 3.
Councilmember Ellis has said to adopt, made a motion to adopt the resolutions ending in 03, 04, 05, 06, 09, and 10. Do we have a second?
I second.
All in favor of adopting those resolutions, say aye.
All right.
Opposed? That leaves resolution ending in 07 and 08.
My recommendation to council again is that they table these two. First of all, that there is be a motion to adopt those resolutions, and that motion be seconded. And then another motion by the same person that made it to table those resolutions for a period of 30 or 60 days. So first of all, there has to be a motion and a second to adopt those two resolutions, and then a motion to table those resolutions for whatever period of time the council wishes.
I make a motion, we adopt 07 and 08. Can I just say it like that, or do I have to say the whole
Let's talk
thing?
to Lewis about that.
Oh, I have to say the entire thing, I'm sorry. Resolution 2019-08-1207, that's correct, right? And 08, right?
We have a motion to adopt resolution 2019-08-12-07 and 08. Do we have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second to adopt those two resolutions?
Do I hear another motion? Do I hear a motion to table those?
I make a motion, we table it 60 days? 60 days.
We have a motion to table resolution 20-19-08-12-07 and 08. Do we have a second to table those?
Second.
Thank you, Mayor.
Second.
All in favor? Say aye. All opposed? Thank you.
I'd like to compliment the mayor and council for doing a very good job. You learn how to handle it.
Appreciate the council.
We had kind of a lengthy agenda tonight. I want to thank everyone for coming. However, I want to turn my time in closing over just for a minute to Alan Tucker, just to give us a brief update. The last time on the CDBG grant right there, where we are, I think you had opened it up for some bids.
We did, we opened it up and received bids on July the 18th. Y'all have a copy of our letter of recommendation to award the bid to the low bidder, which was, I think it's pronounced April Machine and Supply Company. In the amount including the one offer that we had of $411,432.86. We've reviewed those bids. They seem to be in order. We verified the company, they're a reputable company. We're recommending the award, the council awarded the contract to April Machine and Supply Company.
April Machine and Supply what?
April Machine and Supply Company Incorporated.
Okay. Do we have a motion to that effect?
Before we make that motion, you might want to add that the council authorize somebody to execute the contract pending the,
We've actually got it. This 2019-08-12-11.
yeah, we have, yes.
Lewis is fast, you got that typed up.
Yes, we actually have a resolution that Ms. Louise Campbell prepared that will do that stuff. I'm sorry.
Just as a reminder, this grant covers,
Place in the water line,
that's right,
it's the Second Avenue all the way from 431 to the bridge down.
right.
Well, they just passed the bridge, the first street there, so. The alternate, which we are recommending since we're under budget, was to replace a section of curb right there from the bridge to that first street. It's about 500 or 600 feet of curb and gutter right there. The water line's gonna be close to it. What's there now is in pretty sad shape, and some of it might get damaged, probably will get damaged. So that whole section right there will all be replaced, and since the bids came in under budget.
That's LaFette Street, south, coming back this way. Coming back towards town.
But section of curb is from all the way down Second Avenue to the bridge, and almost toward the end of it right there, from the bottom of that hill at the bridge up there. I cannot think of that first street.
They don't
Do
do that.
what? On that side.
On that one.
Okay.
Okay.
Right department.
Yeah,
Okay.
we don't have that.
Was any extra fire hydrant added to that bid that you know of?
Excuse me?
Any extra fire hydrants was mentioned to you about adding?
Yeah, we added several fire hydrants. I didn't figure all in. I but we relocated one fairly new one that Richard put in, and then we've added, it's probably 5 or 6. I believe they're spaced every 500 to 600 feet down through there. So there's several new ones added.
You know, I discussed with you about adding the one, we walked there in front of that trail right there that we just continued for a long time. That day, you know, we walked up the street and I said we need to add that one back right there. It's on Second Avenue itself.
Yeah, I'll have to verify that we got.
Yeah, it was one already there, and for some reason they quit working up. They
It's gone, but we walked that route and I said we need to put one back in this
Yeah,
spot right
yeah,
there.
I think it's on the plan, but we'll,
Yeah, just
sure,
make
we'll
sure
verify
that-
that and make sure
Okay.
Appreciate that, something.
I remember right. It's still there.
Okay, we've heard from Mr. Tucker. We have another Mr. Tucker, which is called Mr. Attorney.
I can't ever agree with my older brother, so here we go. Now, this resolution has a contingency in it. I want to make sure y'all are aware, and that contingency is that they're able to meet an additional qualification that they're a federally qualified contractor, which I believe that will happen. That is not ordinary in this particular sense. But I also wanted to note that the other 3 bids that came in were significantly above the engineer's estimate of cost, and that the likelihood of being able to accept any of those bids was probably nil, because the grant will not have covered enough money to be able to pay for those. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So at this point, from a legal point of view, I might have said we may need to put it off, but there's no reason to. We've got one bid that's possibly going to be able to meet the requirements, and if the contractor can meet the qualification, be a qualified contractor, we should be doing that.
Even what you're talking about is the SAM's registration, you have to register with the federal government. If they've applied, it's 2 to 3 week turnaround to get that number, and it hasn't come in yet, but that's expected in the next few days. And signing the contract should be contingent on receiving that number.
That's what the resolution says.
I make a motion that we adopt this resolution 2019-08-12-11.
And I would also add to that motion, as long as they make the federal recommendations of the contract.
It says it on it.
We're going to do, and I'll add that to that motion as well.
Yeah, it's in the resolution where it's contingent on
Let's do
that.
that.
Yeah, that's good, thank you.
Okay, we have the motion and we have the second for this resolution to pass. All in favor say aye. All opposed? That is the last resolution of the night.
But I'd like to add something before you adjourn, Mayor, if you don't mind. We did not cover a budget committee meeting, and I'd like to propose us having a budget. We need to get this budget taken care of. It's just, you know, we really do. And next Monday on the 19th, if that is convenient for everybody here, 5 o'clock, we need to get it taken care of.
We can just set that down.
Anyway, you do want to do a work session with everybody.
We need it to be a work session for everybody, so everybody's on the same page with our budget, because we really need to get a proposed budget working. We've been in that one too long.
The proposal for a work session on the budget, which would be August
Monday the 6th,
19th, 5 o'clock.
I can do
We
it.
can set that.
you can do it,
I can do it.
great, I can't do it Tuesday,
Okay?
thank you, Mayor.
With that being said, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor say aye. Meeting's adjourned. We thank y'all for all attending.